How are you? I know, it's a lot. Welcome to Expat News. I'm Leah Gillis of the iNews. And yeah, so things are just changing everywhere rapidly all the time. Same stuff, other countries. You guys, here's the deal. One of the things that made me want to do Expat News was, well, I was spending time abroad, but also there's this notion that it's better over there, right? It's there's none of the same problems over there. France doesn't have those problems. Europe doesn't have those problems. Whether it's any of the isms, right? Any of the hatred, any of the immigration. It's Europe. Like our country was founded on similar principles and brotherhood. They love the fraternité. There is no sorority, which is notable. Um, Same things are happening everywhere. And so, one of the things with expat news is obviously no person is illegal, but also borders are arbitrary, right? What do they serve? There's a big, frustrating thing happening in news that has gone on my whole lifetime, which is things move so fast, everybody just accepts whatever is and moves, you know? By the time I got to NBC News, there was no thoughtful discourse. It was response. It was reading a press release on the air from the Bush administration without questioning it, without looking into it, with just taking it as fact. It was running, running, running. That is not the idea of journalism. And that's actually not the idea of all of us as people in the world. And so, one of the things with expat news is to stop and think, why do we have borders, right? Like, they don't even demark cultures. They don't demark language or religion. I mean, we're seeing that with the events in India and Pakistan, right? We're seeing that. I mean, even in France, I went to this region called the Savoy region. They want to secede, like they want to be their own country. I was like, oh, didn't know that. A little bit like how whether it's up in Washington State or Quebec, what are we doing, right? What are these borders for? Back in the day, it was always a us and them, right? And I understand in a certain way, but when it's more restrictive than not, right? When it's keeping people from doing business and profiting, something we've very much seen here with Brexit in Europe, where businesses have hurt, families have hurt. People can't live and see the people and be around the people and cultures that they want to because of law, like because some guys spent a lot of money to trick a lot of people to think it was going to be better for them, even though it only made it worse and harder for people to do business and live lives that they want to lead, right? Government, politics, all these things that were created ideally to organize us, right? Like, okay, so we have people living in an area and they pay some taxes and those taxes go to their shared resources and it's ballooned and ballooned to the point where people are arguing over borders. And a lot of the time I'll say, well, why does the border have to be there? It's particularly, obviously a conversation in Europe where borders have changed a lot over the years and caused a lot of deaths in doing so. But like, what are we doing? You want the person, particularly in America, over there to not have what we have, right? Is that the idea? So you want the person over there to not have health care? Like that doesn't make sense because that's not what we ultimately want as people, right? You don't want somebody in the country next to yours or the country across the way to not have food or health care or adequate roads or sanitation, right? These are basic things that we could all be having. But because we keep mired in the fast paced game of the hamster wheel of looking at issues that don't matter, how somebody chooses to live their life and sexuality and family, as long as everybody agrees, that's a beautiful, wonderful thing, right? Like, we want that. These false notions are keeping us from living our best life and also going towards what we want. And so a lot of times people will keep having these conversations and I'm like, what are you guys doing? This isn't even what you want. And they've lost the track. So In this week's Expat News, I just want you to think a little bit more for yourself about why you're doing things, why you're thinking in a certain way, why you're saying you want something, because is it what you even really want? Right? Is it a policy that you actually want, or did somebody make you think you wanted it because it serves their needs? Never a pleasant thing to think about, right? Never a pleasant thing, but it's actually quite easy. It's like we're holding on to notions and ideas without even realizing where they came from, right? Like a faux, I would say, hysterical way. As the brilliant Claire on Instagram points out, it's hysterical because there are things we have to deal with, right? There are people that want to do harm to people, and we have to deal with that. But when it becomes countries focusing as corporations, is that what we really want? You know, a lot of Americans like to say, oh, I just want to get to France, just want to get to Italy. Okay, well, if things happen here, the EU is sending out documents, France is sending out documents to every house of what to do if there's, some attack or something happens. Do you want to be in a foreign country when that happens? A place where you don't know the language or culture? I mean, the notion that serious things aren't happening everywhere and can't bubble up is not the world that we're in. And yet, these notions of, oh, I can go over there and be fine are something that people keep to. And I'm just like, why? Why are you clinging to these notions that don't serve you and are particularly harming of not just you and your community, but the world at large? Something to think about, because whenever people say to me, oh, well, you're over there, or I've been over here, but no, it's happening here. Last week, there were massive protests in Paris by hate groups. Big protests, big groups. Like that's a big thing. That's not small, And yeah, these things can happen all over. And yeah, but Marine Le Pen, who was a Holocaust denier and a woman who uses and espouses hateful rhetoric and views and policies, was in the lead. The last two elections, was in second and was in the lead for the next one. She now can't run because of some laws she broke, but it wasn't because people didn't like her views. So we have to deal with these deeper problems and issues and injustices between us. Thinking you can leave to another country to avoid it, that's not the deal. So you have to deal with stuff everywhere and elevate the conversation and consider why we're thinking certain things, whether it's over there will be better, or I don't have to change or engage where I am to make things better, because we're all needed, right? Have a great week.